Hey, what's up everybody? Daniel here from NeverEnoughTech. It's been a bit of a journey, but I feel I'm finally ready to share my story with Samsung's newest flagship soundbar system. The $1,800 9.1.4 channel 546 watt HW-Q950T, replacing the Q90R as top dog. I'll be providing wide coverage here, highlighting the areas that shine, and the other stuff that makes you want to curl up in a ball in the corner of the room. Anytime throughout this journey, if the spirit moves you, please drop a like. Apparently the algorithm monster really likes to snack on those. Anyway, as there is so very much to cover, I will be primarily focusing on the Q950T. And I'll offer up some conclusions and my thoughts about spending money on this thing. So let's break down the model name. HW means soundbar. Q meant to work with the TV, specifically Samsung's Q line. 9, highest tier in a series starting at 4. The 50 means you're not only getting a sub, but also surrounds. And the T means it was released in 2020. Just examining the model name, I have what should be the best soundbar Samsung has ever made. So what comes in the box? You get a 246 watt soundbar, the main event, 160 watt subwoofer, and two 70 watt surround speakers, adding up to 546 watts of max power. In addition, you get a high-speed HDMI cable, a dedicated remote, with 2 AA batteries, stickies for your soundbar to keep it from waddling off the stand, and a pretty basic wall mount with some screws and a guide. You get all the hardware you need to connect the soundbar to the mount, but leaving you to go screw hunting if you know you want to go all the way with it and connect the mount to the wall. Leave some room for the overachievers, I guess. The surrounds do have little friction nubs on the bottom, making sure they don't walk off, and a mounting hole for affixing it to a stand or wall mount. So system setup. I ran into trouble here in part because I did not follow instructions. I just started plugging things in like a fool. With the Q90R, this laissez-faire approach worked fine, but not so much with this product. Really had quite a time getting my sub to connect. Anyway, when setting up, you have an automatic and manual option. If you go the automatic route, do this. Plug in the sub, and then the surrounds, and then the soundbar. Maybe give a little breathing space between each plug-in. Slow walk it. Find a flower to smell. If after all this you see blinking blue lights on the back of the sub and surrounds, let those that are near and dear to you know that you love them, as you will be going to war. Your prescribed method to connect your system if the automatic setup doesn't work is to plug in all your speakers, turn the soundbar off using the remote, hold the ID set button on the back of the sub until you get a rapid blue flashing pattern, do the same on each of the surrounds, one at a time, then press the up button on the remote for 5 seconds. With any luck, the status lights on the sub and surrounds will stop blinking, and the soundbar display will say ID set. If this doesn't work, well, recite some incantations, find some holy water, put on your lucky underwear, and try again. Try power cycling all the speakers. I had to go through this procedure 5 or 6 times to get it to work. I'm confident you too can get it to work, but it just might take an hour longer than expected. I've received some questions on this, so here's the prescribed arrangement of the speakers. Just keep in mind that the ideal space for enabling 3D audio, I'll talk more about that a little bit later, with this kind of system would be a rectangular room with flat surfaces that allow some level of reflection. Since the speakers are not firing directly at you, you need some reflectivity to get the desired effect. You will want a few meters distance between the bar and the side walls, as well as a ceiling that is neither really high nor really low. 9 feet may be the sweet spot. You want the room to be long enough so you can have some distance between you and the surrounds. You should also leave some inches between your bar and the bottom of the TV, so the TV does not block your sweet expensive sound. That's kind of the ideal. Just do the best you can. Daniel from the not too distant future here. I neglected to tell you that the system does not automatically figure out which one is right and which one is left. Make sure you look on the back and set it up accordingly. System styling. Well, the surrounds and sub are completely forgettable. They don't look particularly high-end. The styling accent comes from this quadrate fabric covering the front and top of the surrounds, as well as the speaker on the sub, which to its credit feels tough, but it's rather coarse and prone to picking up fuzzies. You see, Samsung likes to partner with other companies to help make their products seem more exciting. For instance, the Q90R partnered with Harman Kardon. Quadrate is kind of the new Harman Kardon. There's a 0% chance I'm saying that fabric name right. It was getting a little cramped. Anyway, the soundbar is a completely different story. We have this unique 3D 6-sided shape, making it an irregular hexagonal prism. These 45-degree angled edges give the soundbar a rather unique shape, at least within the Samsung soundbar line. The general vibe of this bar is dominated by the quadrate fabric. Quite honestly, I find it a bit overwrought. Perhaps not ironic enough to separate itself from the nostalgia it's trying to evoke. Even the speakers of old were a little more subdued with the fabric use, offsetting it with wood that disrupted the color and texture. From a normal sitting position, you almost only see fabric. Fabric that can get kind of fuzzy and iffy looking. Perhaps its saving grace from a beauty pageant standpoint are these horizontal grills on the side that add some relief to what is otherwise a scratchy bench. You remember those scratchy benches in museums in the 90s covered in carpet? I'm thinking just tell the carpet guy to keep on trucking. Build quality. The sub and surrounds feel cheap, tacked on, generic. Bare minimum design and material effort. If there is good and bad plastic, this is bad plastic. Per usual, the bar has a higher build quality, as it is the star of the show. But quite honestly, if the bar feels like it's a rolled up rug, it's hard to determine how well built it is. The overall build quality, without a doubt, underwhelms, especially at this price. Speaker array. We have a 9.1.4 system. This means that there are 9 channels of sound shooting at you at the ear level. 1 channel dedicated to low bass frequencies, or the subwoofer, remember him? And a total of 4 upward firing channels intended to mimic in-ceiling speakers, as the sound shooting up will bounce off ceilings and back down to your precious noggin, in theory anyway. In total, there are 20 drivers on this system. An impressive number. 3 tweeters covering the high frequencies, 16 woofers covering the kind of lows to the kind of highs, and a subwoofer covering the very low frequencies. The tweeters are all 10 watts, the woofers are all 35 watts, and the subwoofer is 160 watts. The soundbar by itself is a 7.0.2 channel system. So left, center, center right, wide right, and right, making up the ear level channels. And the left and right upward firing speakers on the top, making up the 2 height or ceiling level channels. The wide channel drivers are the newcomers here and help to explain the funny shape. The 6 channels that are not in the center are just single 35 watt woofers. The 3 center channels are each comprised of 2 woofers and a tweeter. So 80 watts of power max in each of the center channels. Thought I'd bring it back. The surrounds are both 1.0.1 systems with a forward and upward firing channel, each comprising of a single 35 watt woofer. The woofer has an 8-inch 160 watt driver. Connectivity ports. You have a dedicated eARC HDMI port that connects the bar to the TV. Yes, it's not a regular old audio return channel, it's enhanced to support higher quality audio formats. More detail on that later. It also has 2 pass-through HDMI ports for direct connection between media devices and the soundbar, and a legacy optical port. If you don't have to, don't use that one. It limits the kind of audio you can get. I'll just point out that the cable management is at best a little irksome. You kind of have to really bend the HDMI cable, leaving them looking like this. Perhaps not a big deal, but the cables will hang uncovered if you use the provided wall mount. Whoa, buddy, XYC. Examine your cords. Updating the soundbar. While we're talking ports, you also have a USB service port for updates. Otherwise, if your bar has an internet connection, updates should happen automatically. You can always check your software version and initialize an update in your SmartThings app. Supported audio formats. As is typically the story, this soundbar supports just about all your music podcast audio formats. If you want to play just audio, you'll be able to do it, with very few exceptions. Of course, the real story here is Dolby Atmos and DTS:X support, the 2 main 3D audio formats. 3D audio is an object-based audio codec which aims to create a multi-dimensional sound that moves around you like it would in real life. Whereas with surround sound, while it has an immersive property, you tend to hear sounds coming from discrete speaker locations and is overall less true to life. Dolby Atmos and DTS:X do have practical differences. Atmos is more widely used. You'll see it in streaming services, though it's also supported by a rather large percentage of 4K Blu-ray discs. DTS:X is better equipped to create 3D sound if there aren't any height level channels, though it's a bit of a moot point here as there are upward firing speakers. You will find that some 4K Blu-ray discs only support DTS:X, but with this product, you're covered either way. I'd like to note that 3D audio is not all created equal. The Atmos you get from a streaming service is virtually all delivered via Dolby Digital Plus, which delivers a lossless Atmos and is perhaps not all that distinguishable from 5.1 surround. So a downer for this particular soundbar. On every other soundbar I have tested so far, Netflix supports Atmos using both my Smart TV and Apple TV. Using the Netflix app on my LG OLED 2019 TV, I found that Atmos would be available for a show at, let's say, 7:30, And then the same show would only support up to 5.1 at 736. Totally perplexing. I never was able to see Atmos on Netflix with my Apple TV. However, I always got Atmos on Disney Plus with my Apple TV. If seeing that Dolby Atmos logo is quite important to you, at the very least, expect some frustration around Netflix at this time with this product. All these inconsistencies went away when I replaced this soundbar with my Sonos Arc. With physical media, you get Dolby True HD, which delivers lossless Atmos. To enable lossless Atmos, or DTSX, your audio device needs to be eARC enabled, which supports 37 times the bandwidth of the regular old audio return channel, ARC. The vast majority of TVs prior to 2020 do not support eARC, but luckily with this soundbar, you are riding above the fray because you can plug your Blu-ray player right into the bar. I can confirm that I was able to get Dolby True HD on my eARC-less 2019 Samsung TV using these pass-through ports. So truly excellent lossless 3D audio support here. Much credit deserved. Sound adjustability. You have basic and advanced EQ adjustment options. You can adjust the level of each general region. So center channels, side channels, front top level, rear top level, and bass, all from -6 to 6. I will note that the volume difference between -6 to 6 is not as noticeable as you might expect. This seems to be a question that many are asking. When you encounter virtual, you're being asked whether you want the bar to simulate surround sound. This function does not seem to make a lot of sense with the Q950T as you have real surrounds. The Q900T in contrast does not come with surround, so yeah, makes more sense for that one. You have 4 sound modes at your disposal. First, standard, original sound, mostly presents audio as intended, so playing 5.1 audio in this mode will not utilize the surrounds unless it's 5.1 DTS. So this may explain why you aren't hearing anything from the surrounds in this mode. Second, surround mode. Here, every format is upscaled to 9.1.4. Samsung claims this mode widens the soundstage. In my early experience, I suppose that description is fair, though I did notice that this mode can make dialogue sound a bit muffled. If you want the surrounds to play audio when playing music, I would suggest switching to this mode. Game mode uses stereoscopic sound to immerse you in the game environment. You know, I looked up stereoscopic sound, and I think the only place this phrase shows up on the whole internet is in the Q950T digital manual. Stereoscopic vision is when you have that little plastic viewfinder, which can make things look 3D by shooting 2 pictures at slightly different angles into your 2 eyes. So you know, that effect, but with your gaming sound, I guess. Can you see my eyes rolling? I can say it does make the audio sound different, sometimes. Adaptive mode. My take is that it's mostly meant to make dialogue more audible at lower sound volumes, akin to Sonos' night mode, by raising the low dialogue noises and lowering the peak sounds. I'll play more audio later, but thought I would play a song while shifting through the 4 modes. Okay, doesn't look like anyone's head exploded. If you have a 2020 Samsung TV, you are eligible for Q Symphony. What is it? Well, it's the option to play soundbar and TV sound together, as TV speakers are placed on the side and top of the 2020 TVs. Samsung is claiming that Q Symphony augments the surround sound experience. You have the option to enable and disable Q Symphony in your Samsung's TV sound settings. Just look for TV plus soundbar. I don't have a 2020 Samsung TV on hand, so I was not able to try it. Would be happy to hear about your experience in the comments. Controls. The surrounds and sub just have a link button for manual setup, and that about wraps it up. Catch you on the next one. Just joking, we're not even close to being done. Is anybody still there? The soundbar has 4 clicky physical controls. A circle function button that can turn the bar on, but not off because that would be too darn obvious. The function button also toggles inputs with single presses, and can activate the Alexa voice assistant with a 3-second hold. You have an up and down volume button and a microphone enable disable button. The remote looks very similar to Samsung TV remotes. It can do everything the bar controls can do, except deactivate the mic. In addition, you can put the soundbar in standby, change the sound modes, and adjust EQ and channel levels. On the SmartThings app, you can adjust sound modes and EQ, but not the channel level, other than the subwoofer. It would be 1,000 times easier to adjust channel level on the app than with the remote. One of the fun quirks here is that changing the volume on the bar or remote sometimes does not change the volume level indicator in the SmartThings app, but changing the subwoofer level on the remote does show on the app. Silly Samsung software. The soundbar displays. The main display is on the top center of the bar. It is rather small with rounded ends. The display is not visible to those amongst us who would elect to sit while watching TV. It gives you sufficient information, though the scrolling is time-consuming and thus annoying. Just about all the adjustments you make, other than volume, require you to kind of hover over the bar like a zombie. There is a secondary off-center display on the front that is just an array of 3 physically distanced LEDs. These LEDs provide volume up-down confirmation with a left-right illumination sequence. If you hold the volume up or down, the lights just kind of start spazzing out. So that's kind of exciting. These LED lights are used to indicate other modes, like say Bluetooth pairing. A single red pixel is used to indicate that the integrated mic is off. I know why they want it visible while sitting, but a tiny isolated jaggy red light, blub, blub, blub. That reference should land hard on a very specific set of people. Sound samples. Let's do a few more. First, YouTube with different sound modes. Try to hear the dialogue differences.
Corn. It comes on its own stick known as a cob, which gets its name because cobblers used to use them to make comfortable walking shoes. The traditional way of harvesting corn is waiting for the corn to make its way upfield to spawn. Catch one, then remove the husk with your own bare hands, or gloved hands, or hands covered in tinfoil, or someone else's hands. Boil it in salted water for around 7 minutes, then roll it in salted butter. That's a perfectly good corn on the cob for a boring person with a boring life who likes delicious things that taste really good. Someone like me.
Second, Dolby True HD through a Mad Max 4K Blu-ray.
Eyes right!
Should we turn around and run him into our backup?
No! We're good! We're playing it!
The sound samples you heard were kind of the best of the soundbar. I made sure the surrounds and sub were working, and I recorded in a room that is somewhat sound flattering. When you can get the bar to function correctly, the sound is impressive. Overall, however, the sound, as with every part of the system, is unreliable. I often felt like the system volume was far too soft relative to where I placed the sound level. At other times, I really appreciated the complexity of the sound coming out of the bar's 9 channels. It's kind of a unique experience. There are not that many 7.0.2 bars out there. I'll endorse the notion that the integrity of the sound stood up at higher volumes, though I do sadly have to point out that the surrounds and sub are not all that reliable. In my estimation, there are 4 main surround sub modes. Not playing sound on purpose, not playing sound because of crappy software and or hardware, crackling, and playing sound. In general, as the audio codec improved, the more robust the sound and sub audio became. So to get 5.1 out of the rears, it will need to be upscaled and will be kind of disappointing relative to what you are expecting from a soundbar system like this. Dolby Atmos via streaming is pretty good when the whole system decides to work. If you are seeking a cinematic audio experience, you may find that you are setting the volume higher than you might expect. Atmos via Blu-ray is probably closer to what you are imagining this soundbar should be sounding like all the time. It's fairly impressive on that front. One weird quirk, you can't change audio mode when Dolby Atmos is playing. I'm inferring this as all you get from the soundbar display is not available and a prolonged unsuccessful spinny wheel on the app. The thought and effort on details is staggering. Inputs, real quick, you have your digital connection to the TV through the ARC or optical port. You have HDMI 1 and 2 pass-throughs, Bluetooth mode, and Wi-Fi mode. When watching TV and decide to switch to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you may find that your TV will go back to playing TV audio through the TV speakers. So, how fun. Sonos isn't that fun. Wireless connectivity. As the bar supports Bluetooth, you have the option to connect the bar to the TV wirelessly. Why you would go lossy audio with a bar this expensive will baffle my mind for eons. But anyway, that's an option. You can also connect your soundbar and TV wirelessly through Wi-Fi Direct. If your TV is Wi-Fi Direct compatible, this would be a superior wireless connection to Bluetooth. But still, I recommend against this. I think you're just signing up for more trouble. And you already got a power cord to mess with, so you're not going wireless anyway. Integrated music services for Wi-Fi streaming is non-existent. Samsung didn't even pretend to try here, as with the Q90R that supported TuneIn. Your best streaming option is Spotify Connect, which allows you to play music on the soundbar via your device with a Wi-Fi connection. The soundbar is tap to play enabled, which allows you to quickly pair your device via Bluetooth by tapping the bar with your device. You'll need to enable this function in the SmartThings app, and your device needs to be Android 8.1 or higher.
Yeah, about that. No, you have to trust me.
China don't? Our ally?
The guy protecting.
With each tap, you're in theory moving seamlessly between Bluetooth and TV audio. But as we all live in this very real Samsung world, I was only able to get the bar to go from TV to playing music, with maybe every 10th tap. Was not able to return to TV audio at all. There is an advisory in the manual that you should not smash your device on the bar because you might break something. I can't imagine why they would need to issue a warning like that. AirPlay is not supported. Samsung is supporting on their TVs. Not sure why the flagship soundbar is getting left out, but they are probably only buying Sonos because they care about user experience. Alexa, but not Google Assistant, is supported on this device. As I mentioned before, there is an internal microphone, so you don't have to go through a separate Alexa device to control the bar. So this is clearly another avenue to play music, news, podcasts, etc. on the bar via Wi-Fi. Though maybe a minor limitation, I was not able to get Spotify or Apple Music playing through Alexa. I tried telling Alexa to play Spotify music. That didn't go very well. Alexa, play music on Spotify.
Here's Spotify.
And I tried to get Alexa to play Apple Music, and I was told to bugger off. Alexa, play songs on Apple Music.
You'll need a connected accessory to play Apple Music on this device.
The only music service I was able to get working was Amazon Music, which I suspect is not the best case scenario for you. Samsung just checked the box to get Alexa on here, but did none of the hard work to make it a good experience. So when going to Alexa, the bar goes into Wi-Fi input, and as I mentioned before, the TV sound will likely start going through the TV speakers. So you want to make sure your TV speaker volume is set to 0. But if by chance your TV speakers default to whatever the bar sound level was, like let's say a Samsung TV, you have a truly annoying experience waiting for you if you want to use Alexa while watching TV. To add more refuse to this dumpster fire, remember how I mentioned the sound level often does not seem to match how loud the TV sound should be? Well, this is rather charming, but when you summon Alexa, you will almost always get a whoop that is 2 times as loud as the TV volume, and Alexa's response to your request is like 3 times the volume you want. To shucks with your desired listening volume level. I imagine you'll be reaching for the remote to lower the Alexa volume if you're going from TV to Alexa. The fun never ends with this thing. All this together is just a really great indicator that this product was absolutely shoved out the door. Straight up, the difference in volume level makes using Alexa on this device at times literally painful. Okay, let's review notable Q90R differences. The Q950T is far more expensive, The Q90R price is fluctuating right now between like, let's say $1,000 and $1,700.
Rolling around the block.
Styling. This one is a scratchy sofa, and the Q90R is a macho tank. It's a draw. The Q950T is shorter and lighter, which may reduce TV obscuration and make it easier to move around when recording YouTube videos.
Ta-da!
We have an integrated mic for Alexa. Gonna grin and bear this one because their implementation is absolute feces.
Ha-ha!
Software and stability. In my Q90R review, I made a big fuss about how much I disliked the Q90R software. Well, I didn't know how good I had it. See, the Q90R has had over a year of updates to go from probably quite bad to just bad. This soundbar is brand spanking new, and I really think from a software perspective, it has no business being in the hands of consumers. This feels so much like a beta product. See, this is what I think probably happened. An important person told a bunch of less important people to push this product out the door and just fix the many software issues mid-flight. We're definitely still waiting for those fixes.
Of a big red racing car.
Sound quality. I was immediately blown away by the Q90R on sound. No question as far as soundbars go, it's up there amongst the top. Even though overall I'm not a huge fan of the Q90R, you can hang your hat on that. With the Q950T, I got a jumble of WTF, and okay, that's kind of impressive when it comes to sound. Even though the Q950T has more wattage and more channels, even when this bar is sounding its best, I am far from convinced that the sound matches, much less exceeds, the Q90R in overall quality. I'm almost certain it doesn't. You're probably seeing where this is going, but here are my recommendations about buying. See, Samsung knows this. Specs tend to evoke a primal response. Please suppress your urges for this product. You're going to get neither a quality rounded experience, nor a consistent high quality audio experience you should expect from a soundbar system this expensive. Samsung layered a poorly conceived user experience on top of an unfinished product. A subtle giveaway is that they have not even put together a promotional video. I hope that those amongst you that plan on keeping this product are met with quick and significant software updates. For those of you that have your heart set on this product, I suggest conceptualizing the Q950T not so much as a device that bends to your will, but rather an unruly stallion, but a kind of buggy stallion, that after many head and phone injuries, you can make work for you as you have mastered its oh so many eccentricities. Or perhaps master the art of controlling your emotions. Here's a shorter review, just run away. All right, gonna wrap this up. I'll give you one more chance to feed that like monster. Catch you on the next one.